Pope Francis, the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, is a figure of immense global significance. His papacy, which began in 2013, has been marked by a profound commitment to social justice, interfaith dialogue, and a more inclusive church. Pope Francis's humility and simplicity are deeply rooted in his upbringing and Jesuit formation. His decision to live in the modest Casa Santa Marta guest house rather than the opulent apostolic palace is a testament to his commitment to living a simple life, close to the people he serves. Pope Francis's papacy has been marked by a deep commitment to interfaith dialogue and a recognition of our common humanity. By embracing social media and engaging with the modern world, Pope Francis has brought the papacy into the 21st century. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the future Pope Francis, was born on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Growing up in a modest home with 4 siblings, young Jorge experienced firsthand the realities of working-class life. As a young man, George initially pursued a career in chemistry before feeling a call to a different path, dedicated to serving God and others. This call led him to the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, known for their intellectual rigor and commitment to social justice. After completing his novitiate, Jorge Bergoglio professed his first vows as a Jesuit in 1960. Taking the name Francis in honor of St. Francis of Assisi. On December 13, 1969, at the age of 33, Jorge Mario Bergoglio was ordained to the priesthood, marking the beginning of his formal ministry. Father Bergoglio's intellectual gifts and leadership qualities were quickly recognized within the Jesuit order. In 1973, at the age of 36, he was appointed Provincial Superior of the Jesuits in Argentina, overseeing the work of hundreds of Jesuits. The years following Father Bergoglio's tenure as Provincial Superior were marked by both personal reflection and renewed pastoral engagement. Despite the political turmoil in Argentina, he continued to minister to the people of Buenos Aires, offering solace and support. In 1992, Father Bergoglio was appointed Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires, marking his return to church leadership. As Auxiliary Bishop, he visited parishes throughout the city, listening attentively to the concerns of priests and parishioners alike. In 1998, Cardinal Quaracino passed away, and Father Bergoglio was chosen to succeed him as Archbishop of Buenos Aires. As Archbishop, Cardinal Bergoglio continued his predecessor's work of pastoral renewal and social outreach. In 2013, Pope Benedict XVI made the unprecedented decision to resign, citing his advanced age and declining health. Among the cardinals gathered for the conclave was Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who would soon become Pope Francis, ushering in a new era for the Catholic Church. On March 13, 2013, white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel, signaling a new pope. Jorge Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis, marking a new chapter in the Catholic Church. His simple white cassock and warm greeting signaled a departure from tradition. Choosing the name Francis, he honored St. Francis of Assisi, emphasizing humility and compassion. This choice resonated, signaling a focus on simplicity and the poor. Pope Francis's papacy has been characterized by a profound emphasis on mercy, forgiveness, and a welcoming embrace of those who have felt marginalized or excluded from the Church. He has repeatedly stressed that the Church should be a field hospital for the wounded, a place of healing and compassion where all are welcome, regardless of their past mistakes or present circumstances. This message of radical inclusivity has been particularly evident in his outreach to the LGBTQ+ community. While reaffirming the Church's traditional teaching on marriage and sexuality, Pope Francis has consistently called for a more pastoral and compassionate approach to those who identify as LGBTQ+. His now famous phrase, "Who am I to judge?" spoken in response to a question about gay priests, sent shockwaves through the Church and beyond, signaling a willingness to engage in dialogue and to prioritize love and acceptance over condemnation. His papacy has also been marked by a deep concern for migrants and refugees, those forced to flee their homes due to war, persecution, or economic hardship. He has repeatedly called on nations to welcome the stranger, citing the gospel imperative to love our neighbor as ourselves. His visits to refugee camps in Lesbos, Greece, and Lampedusa, Italy, where he washed the feet of Muslim migrants, were powerful gestures of solidarity and a stark reminder of the human cost of indifference and inaction. Recognizing the need for reform within the Church's administrative body, the Roman Curia, Pope Francis set about implementing changes aimed at promoting transparency, accountability, and a more collegial approach to governance. He established a council of cardinals, composed of prelates from around the world, to advise him on matters of church governance and to assist in drafting a new constitution for the Vatican. One of the key areas of focus has been financial reform. Pope Francis has sought to address concerns about opacity and mismanagement within the Vatican's financial institutions, calling for greater transparency and accountability in the handling of church funds. He has established new financial oversight bodies and implemented stricter regulations to prevent corruption and ensure that church resources are used responsibly and ethically. Furthermore, he has sought to streamline the Curia's bureaucracy, reducing redundancies and promoting greater efficiency in its operations. He has also emphasized the importance of service and humility among those who serve in the Curia, reminding them that their primary role is to support the Pope in his ministry to the Universal Church. Pope Francis has used his platform as a global leader to address some of the most pressing issues facing humanity, including poverty, inequality, climate change, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. He has called on world leaders to work together to create a more just and sustainable world, one where the dignity of every human person is respected and the common good is prioritized over narrow self-interest. His encyclical on the environment, Laudato Si, on care for our common home, published in 2015, has been hailed as a landmark document, calling for a radical rethinking of our relationship with the natural world. In it, Pope Francis argues that environmental degradation is not merely a technical issue, but a moral one, rooted in a throwaway culture that exploits both people and the planet for short-term gain. He has also been a vocal advocate for peace and disarmament, calling for an end to the arms race and a renewed commitment to dialogue and diplomacy in the face of international conflict. His visits to conflict zones, such as the Central African Republic and Myanmar, have demonstrated his willingness to engage with even the most intractable situations, seeking to build bridges of understanding and reconciliation. Central to Pope Francis's vision for the Church is the concept of synodality, a way of being church that emphasizes listening, dialogue, and collaboration among all the baptized. He has sought to promote a more decentralized model of church governance, one that empowers local bishops and gives greater voice to the laity, particularly women and young people. In 2021, he launched a 2-year global synodal process, inviting Catholics from all walks of life to participate in a process of listening, reflection, and discernment on the future direction of the Church. This unprecedented initiative has sparked both hope and controversy, with some praising its openness and inclusivity, while others worry that it could lead to a watering down of church teaching. Regardless of the outcome, the synodal process reflects Pope Francis's deep conviction that the Church must be a place of encounter and dialogue, where all voices are heard and respected. It is a testament to his belief that the Holy Spirit speaks through the entire people of God, not just through the hierarchy, and that the Church thrives when it embraces the gifts and perspectives of all its members. Pope Francis's ambitious reform agenda has not been without its detractors. Within the Church, he has faced resistance from some conservative elements who view his emphasis on mercy and inclusivity as a departure from traditional doctrine. His efforts to reform the Curia, seen by some as an attack on their entrenched power and privilege, have also encountered pushback from within the Vatican bureaucracy. Critics have accused him of being too willing to engage in dialogue with those who hold dissenting views, suggesting that this openness could sow confusion among the faithful and weaken the Church's moral authority. They point to his more nuanced stance on issues such as divorce and remarriage, homosexuality, and the role of women in the church as evidence of a dangerous drift towards relativism and a departure from the church's timeless teachings. This internal dissent has at times spilled over into public criticism, with some high-ranking prelates voicing their concerns in books, articles, and interviews. While Pope Francis has generally refrained from engaging in public polemics, he has also made it clear that he will not be deterred from his reform agenda by those who cling to the status quo. He has repeatedly stressed the need for unity and obedience within the Church, but has also emphasized that true unity must be based on truth, justice, and a shared commitment to the gospel message. Perhaps the most significant challenge facing Pope Francis, and indeed the Catholic Church as a whole, is the ongoing sexual abuse crisis. The revelations of widespread abuse by clergy and the subsequent cover-ups have shaken the Church to its core, eroding trust in its leadership and causing immense pain and suffering to victims and their families. Upon his election, Pope Francis pledged to address this crisis with zero tolerance for abusers and those who would protect them. He established the Pontifical Commission for the Protection of Minors, tasked with advising the Church on best practices for safeguarding children and vulnerable adults. He has also met with victims of abuse, listening to their stories with compassion and expressing his deep sorrow for the pain they have endured. However, critics argue that these steps, while welcome, do not go far enough. They point to instances where Pope Francis has been slow to act against accused bishops or has appeared to downplay the severity of the crisis. They argue that more radical reforms are needed, including greater accountability for bishops, a more transparent and independent process for investigating allegations, and a willingness to address the systemic factors that have allowed abuse to flourish for so long. Pope Francis's papacy has been marked by a delicate balancing act between upholding the Church's traditional teachings and responding to the challenges of a rapidly changing world. His emphasis on mercy and inclusivity, while welcomed by many, has also raised questions about the boundaries of church doctrine and the limits of papal authority. His more open approach to issues such as divorce and remarriage, while rooted in a pastoral concern for those who have experienced marital breakdown, has been interpreted by some as a softening of the Church's stance on the indissolubility of marriage. Similarly, his call for a more welcoming attitude towards LGBTQ+ individuals, while stopping short of endorsing same-sex marriage, has sparked debate about the Church's understanding of sexuality and family. Navigating these complex and often contentious issues requires a deft touch and a willingness to engage in respectful dialogue, even with those who hold opposing views. Pope Francis has shown a willingness to listen to different perspectives and to seek common ground, even as he remains firmly rooted in the Church's teachings. This approach, while at times frustrating to those seeking definitive answers or swift action, reflects his belief that the Church must be a big tent, capable of embracing diversity while remaining faithful to its core principles. The papacy of Pope Francis stands as a testament to humility, compassion, and commitment to the gospel. From the moment he stepped onto the world stage, this Jesuit from Argentina captivated millions with his message of mercy and inclusivity. His impact on the Catholic Church has been transformative. Emphasizing a poor church for the poor, he challenged the Vatican status quo and called for a more synodal church. Beyond the Church, Pope Francis emerged as a global moral leader on issues like climate change and economic inequality. His encyclical Laudato Si' became a touchstone for building a just and sustainable world. His words resonated with people of all faiths and none. His ability to connect on a human level and speak truth to power cemented his legacy. Pope Francis's legacy will be debated for generations. Critics say his reforms have sown confusion and division, yet his impact on the Church is undeniable. His papacy has brought openness, transparency, and a focus on the poor. He has shown the Church is best when close to the people. The Catholic Church that Pope Francis leaves behind is a church in transition, grappling with both internal divisions and external challenges. The sexual abuse crisis, a deep wound that continues to fester, will require ongoing attention and a commitment to transparency and accountability at all levels. The rise of secularism and indifference to religion, particularly in the West, poses a significant challenge to the Church's evangelizing mission. Yet, amidst these challenges, there is also great hope. Pope Francis's emphasis on synodality, on listening to the voices of all the baptized, has created new spaces for dialogue and discernment within the Church. His call for a more inclusive and welcoming Church, one that embraces diversity and rejects all forms of discrimination, has resonated with many, particularly young people, who are hungry for a Church that reflects their values and their lived experiences. The future of the Church, like the future of our world, remains unwritten. But the papacy of Pope Francis has shown that even in a time of great upheaval and uncertainty, the power of humility, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to the gospel message can still move mountains, heal divisions, and inspire hope for a better future. His legacy, like the ripples from a stone cast into a still pond, will continue to spread outward, touching lives and shaping the world for generations to come.